We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to another edition of AVRant. I'm Tom Andrew, and I'm here with
Rob H. This is AVRant. It's your home theater and AV questions answered. Tom has a hard out today, so we might be exactly at the 2-hour mark. And congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks winning the Super Bowl. Congrats to them. I'll say I'm happy just because New England has won the Super Bowl so many darn times that I'm like, yeah, let's go for the team that hasn't won the Super Bowl a gazillion times before. So I'm happy with Seattle.
I was at a Super Bowl party against my will, and somebody asked me what team I was going for, and I looked at them. I said, I have never voluntarily watched, or never of my own free will watched an entire football game.
Okay.
And today will be no different. So I don't care.
All right.
Until last week, I didn't know who was playing, and that is indicative of almost every single Super Bowl that's ever been.
Right.
If you were to ask me if I had a team to root for, it would be the New Orleans Saints, because that's where my family is from.
Okay.
It's from New Orleans. When New Orleans did win the Super Bowl, I was having a party. It was not a Super Bowl party. It was just a party, like a dinner party. And then the Super Bowl was going on in the background. I walked through the room and went, oh, the Saints won. Yeah. And then that was the extent of, I literally had not seen a play that entire game. So curling for the United States is going very well.
Someone commented on that coming up, so that'll be good.
Mixed doubles curling has been thrilling.
Right.
I just watched the semifinal match between the United States and Italy, and it was astonishing. Like, I have watched curling where it has been very boring. Like, it's like they're
yes, it can be.
They put a rock down there, or whatever they call them. They call them rocks, right?
It's a rock.
Is that what they call them? They put a rock down there, and then the next team knocks it out, and they put another rock down, and the next team knocks it out. They just keep doing that, for like 3 ends or whatever they call them.
Yep, that's right.
But this has been absolutely scintillating. I have enjoyed it immensely.
Nice.
So, yes, curling has been going well. I'm enjoying the Olympics on my laptop because my TV is still not fixed.
Here we go. Yep. We spoiled not bearing the lead for too long. What is the situation, Tom? Because I
called him again. I called him again and said, listen, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, what are you people doing? Because I've been complaining on this podcast. I keep getting these weird messages from Samsung, all this stuff. So I got nothing from them. I'm like, you guys said you were coming last week.
Maybe that's
at the end of the week.
Yeah.
And then I haven't heard from you, and it's Friday. What's going on? They're like, oh, we're coming next week, and then the part will be here. I said, the part is here, or the part will be here.
I mean, it was in Texas as of the beginning of last week. So
I understand this, Rob.
Yeah.
I am aware. He said, well, I said, well, what day are you coming? He says, Wednesday. I said, I can't do Wednesday. I'm getting like an epidural shot in my back on Wednesday morning, and I will not be available for the day. I don't know what's going on. I can't have you guys showing up when I'm not here because you won't come in, and my
Guess
TV
when
will
they're
get
coming,
fixed.
Tom. Guess when they're coming.
No, they are not. They're coming on Thursday. I am actually going to be gone on Tuesday as well for a work-related thing, but we will talk about that later.
Okay.
But they are coming on Thursday, supposedly, next week. And I said, okay.
Next week?
So you're...
Next week? Like not...
No, this coming Thursday.
Okay,
yeah,
so as
the
we're
next week
recording,
coming
because
up.
everything's all mixed up from you. We're talking to them last week, so yeah. Okay, so...
No. This week. So 2 days from today.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So while you, dear listener, are listening to this podcast, although I'm putting them up on Wednesdays now, so it should be coming tomorrow as you, the listener, are hearing this.
It just happened, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
I said, okay, so you're coming on Thursday. He said, yes. I said, and the part's here. And he goes, it will be. I'm like, I said, it will be. And I'm like, it's not here, though. He goes, no, it's going to be. I'm like, yeah, but it's not here, though.
You presently cannot lay your eyes on it in person and touch it with your hands.
I'm like, listen, man, you're sure? He goes, oh, yeah, they'll be here. I'm like, okay. So I don't know what's going to end up happening with this TV.
Kidding.
At some point, it's been months now. I've missed the Super Bowl. Not that I would have watched it, but Samsung doesn't know that. I am missing the Olympics, which I am very bitter about.
Yeah.
I've got 2 subwoofers that I just got from SVS that have come in that I want to hook up, but I cannot hook up because I don't want to put anything else in this room to
trip
obstruct
over
from what's going to be happening. I still need speaker wire. I still need cables. And I didn't order the sound path isolation feet because I'm an idiot when I ordered the subwoofers. So I went on, and I'll talk. I meant to bring them in this room, but they're not here. I'm not going to go get them right now. But my article on isolation alternatives, I found through that I found actually smaller versions of the ones I linked up in the article that are quite small because the other ones are pretty hard and they're meant for like hundreds of pounds of washer machine, like industrial.
And not to spoil the surprise too much, although anyone probably could have guessed this, you went for SB2000 Pros.
I did.
So
yeah. SB2000 Pros. So I've got 2 of those. I accidentally sent them the wrong address, so I sent them to my old address.
So that was on your end. That wasn't them just looking up your account and doing it by mistake. Okay.
Yeah, I have a like a signature for reviews set up. So that
of course.
It just I don't have to think about it, and I put that up there. I didn't look at that. So they shipped it to my other address. My wife went by our old house and went, "Hey, there's 2 subwoofer boxes here."
And
I'm like,
that was happenstance. She wasn't going there to pick up the subwoofers.
No,
she just happened to be there, and
she went to go get mail. She had a meeting at for her work nearby, and whenever she drives over there, she's like, "I'll just pick up the mail on the way." She saw him, and I'm like, "She's like, what am I going to do?" I'm like, I'll come get him. I'll come get him. And she's like, well, let me see if I can put him in my car. I'm like, these are SB2000 Pros. I'm like, I've never seen them. I've never put eyes on them myself. Right. I've only had the.
I mean, they'll fit in a hatchback, but if it's a sedan,
it's a small CRV, so it will fit.
It'll fit.
But the thing was, I was like, I don't think you can. I mean, I don't think you pick them up. I don't know how heavy they are, but I don't think. She had no problems.
Oh, okay.
she came home with 2 subwoofers. I was like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
So I was pleasantly surprised at the portability of them, if you will.
Yep.
So yes, I've got all of this ready to go, all waiting for this TV to get fixed.
Yeah, no
hopefully.
Kidding. Golly. And I mean, then you bought that TV brand new from Best Buy. That wasn't some kind of used or Facebook Marketplace deal or something like that. It was a brand new TV.
So the problem was if you remember, I delayed the shipping.
Yeah.
I delayed the delivery date.
Yeah.
And that kind of messed everything up as far as
like taking it straight back to Best Buy as opposed to dealing with the regular manufacturer's warranty. Yeah.
On top of that, I contact Rob, and because we have had terrible monitors in this house since the floods. My monitor was dead. My wife's monitor was dead. We got a monitor somebody gave to us that is many colors, none of them white. Many colors come out of it. White is not one of them. A yellowish
bizarre,
color comes out, but white does not, and it is very hard to look at for any length of time because it's disconcerting.
So, I mean, if yellow comes out, then I guess the red and the green subpixels are working, but not the blue. So
I guess I don't know what's going on with that thing. So it is. So I said to Rob, I said we'd like to get a monitor. My wife used to have a 21:9, the ultra wide monitor, and Rob gave me some suggestions. So we got the cheapest of them, which was like a $400 Alienware thingy, which I will tell you
means it was LCD because the least expensive ones were LCD. They have a little bit of a curve to them, but they are 21:9, 1440p as far as the resolution. Pretty good gaming features. VA panels, so they don't look like super washed out or low contrast. But you do want to be like bang on axis looking at that thing. Partially due to the VA panels and partially due to the curve. They are not to be viewed from off axis.
AW3425DWM. The M is important because the M, if you don't have the M, then you're getting a completely different panel.
You're getting a QD-OLED for a considerably higher price.
Right. So it ended up being less than $400 shipped, and it arrived, and we set it up, and she's been using it. She likes it.
Okay.
I cannot stand the curve.
Oh, okay.
I cannot stand it.
Okay.
I am. So I'm going to buy another monitor for me.
Yes.
So my computer, and I cannot have a curve. I just can't do it. It just drives me nuts.
I mean, most of the 21x9s that you'll find now
I don't have to have a 21 by 9. I don't care. I'll have a 4x3 as long as it's not curved. I just don't care.
Yeah, you go 16x9, you can get flat pretty easily. But if you go for the 21x9 or the 32x9, those are most often.
She likes it fine. She says. Okay. She likes it fine. Okay. So yeah, that's what's been going on over here. Like I said, I got my shots for my back on tomorrow, which is Wednesday. TV should be hopefully fixed on Thursday. At this point, statistically not likely, but we can hope.
We're hoping for a good week this week.
That's right. And next week I will be out on Tuesday. I have a training. I'm Bosch, the company Bosch. Yep. They do motors and batteries and stuff for e-bikes, and I'm going to a special training for that, for all-day training.
Cool.
Up in Clearwater, but that was the only date that was available. So
all right. Duly noted.
You will have to get a person to replace me.
It's good we still got some decibel points left before we reach. You know what? So we're not going to spoil anything, but I think we have enough done now that we should be able to make it before we go past 999.9.
We'll get there.
I think we'll be okay.
We'll get there. I have to do some work. I was supposed to do it this morning, but I slept really poorly last night, and I woke up at like 9:10, and we recorded at 10. So I had
famous last words, but I think we're in moderately okay shape.
Look, if you shook the magic 8-ball, it would say signs point to yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So what's going on with you?
I can't even remember what happened last week, but nothing of gigantic significance. But I'll just say, hopefully, by the time I talk to you next week, I'll be able to say that I have fully and completely set up that Sofabaton X2 for my parents.
Oh,
let alone my own. I can't say mine is fully set up, but the one for my parents, I'm on it.
I know we don't remember, but somebody sent me a Harmony Companion app in Hub.
Yep.
And
I don't remember.
I had a panicked friend call me Saturday evening. He's like, my Vizio, which he bought on our recommendation, like
a while ago, I would say
7 years ago or something like that.
That was well back before Walmart purchased the brand.
Yes. He something went wrong, and it needed a remote, like a physical remote to do it. So instead of doing the physical remote, he tried to do a factory reset and did a bunch of other stuff online, and basically got it down to, I have fixed it. Whatever was wrong with it was fixed, except he still needs a remote to connect to it.
Okay.
And so he called me. He's like, do you have any remotes? I'm like, actually, I do. I have some remotes here. So he came over and got the Harmony Companion remote with the hub. And after having to do firmware updates and connect it to his computer and all this stuff, he got it. It worked perfectly.
It still works. Hooray.
I was like, you definitely your TV's codes are definitely in the Harmony database.
They're in that Harmony database. Yep. They haven't had to update that.
So
I was a little worried.
Saved his TV.
I was a little worried with that. Maybe it was back that there. Remember that little stretch where Vizio was shipping their TVs with a tablet? It actually came with a tablet.
That is one of the ones that came with a tablet, but also like a little small plastic remote that came. But he found that remote, opened it up, and the batteries had exploded inside of it, and it was ruined.
Yeah,
or at least it was ruined to the point where he tried to clean it, did the whole whatever he could do. I mean, I can't fix that.
You just put it in some white vinegar.
Oh, yeah. Well, good luck with that. So anyways, I'm sorry, Rob. I started to interrupt. So you said you finished your parents' Sofabaton X2.
I haven't finished it yet. This is making more. Hopefully, this is a good week promises that we can report on next week or the week after. In the case of Tom, when you rejoin us in 2 weeks' time. So but that's about all that's going on my end that I'll talk about on the podcast anyway.
All right. So what did you watch? Because I've been watching the Olympics.
Yes, I bet you have. You know what? I got to say, I really haven't been watching the Olympics. Not because I haven't wanted to, just lack of time. And also, you know what? I've been kind of singing the praises up here in Canada. Everything is shown on CBC. our National Broadcasting Network, the CBC, and Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And they have their own app, of course, like every TV station does these days. So there's this called CBC Gem. And so I was singing their praises during the last Summer Olympics 2 years ago because I was saying, hey, it's really nice. They've got a interface that, slightly clunky to navigate, but you can actually get to like all the events, all the replays are there, everything in full, not just the highlights. And I was like, hey, that's really awesome. So now, they've been working on it. They've updated it. It is a smoother interface. It's working really, really well for these Winter Olympics, the CBC Gem app. Really impressed with it. And in a way, that's been to the detriment because I'm like, so I can just catch up whenever I want, which means that I've put it off and put it off and put it off. I'm going to have a huge backlog of events to try and catch up on. So that's the double-edged sword of making yourself a well-functioning app that people are like, oh yeah, great, fantastic. I can watch it anytime.
That's
anytime
right.
ends up being not. But I did watch one movie this week. I actually watched it with my parents, which was F1 the movie. So that's Apple TV's big awards movie push that they put out there. So this was directed by Joseph Kosinski, who did Top Gun Maverick. And of course, many people have said that F1 the movie is a lot like Top Gun Maverick, but in cars instead of in planes. And there's a certain amount of that's true as well, for sure. Joseph Kosinski, he also did Tron Legacy and Oblivion. So, a couple of pretty strong movies in the past there. Gotta say, of all the movies that he's done, I haven't seen everything that he's done, but F1 might be my least favorite. That doesn't mean that I did not like this movie or that there is no entertainment value in this movie. There certainly is. It's shot very nicely. Although, I was kind of waiting to be a little bit more blown away by some of the racing footage, They made a whole big deal about how they shot it with IMAX cameras, digital IMAX cameras, actually put those IMAX cameras on real F1 vehicles and shot real footage and stuff like that. And I'm like, there's that whole problem of translating being so close to the ground and going at the sort of speed that F1 cars go that when you see the real footage, it kind of doesn't look as impressive as your imagination of it or like video game representations of it. And shooting it in the clarity of those IMAX cameras, I'm like, so we don't have blur. Like, it's so pristine and so clear that we don't have any blur, and that also kind of makes it feel like you're not going 300 bloody kilometers an hour, which these cars really are. So, in a way, I don't know if it really translated the feeling of it, even though it was the most realistic footage that we've ever really had in a movie like this. But yeah, it looked good, sounded great. But yeah, my problem with this movie, so, we're starring Brad Pitt and Damson Idris, who I was not familiar with, but he was good as the second co-lead in this. Kerry Condon, who finally got to just speak in her actual normal Irish accent for once, because she is always doing a different accent, either British or American, but she finally just got to speak in her Irish accent, so that was maybe the most enjoyable part of this movie. And then supporting role for Javier Bardem. But yeah, The issue to me was the script in this movie, not necessarily the story. This is the most Hollywood movie that there has ever been. It is the Hollywood movie. It is exactly the plot line and the outcome and the beats of the story and exactly the way the act structure is laid out that you would expect for your cookie cutter Hollywood movie. There are no surprises to be had in this movie whatsoever. And I'm not saying that as a negative thing. It's just a point of fact. This movie felt like it was studio noted to Oblivion. It was like there was so much narration, and they did the thing of like, well, we're going to try and make the narration sound like it's announcers, if you're watching an F1 race and you're listening to the announcers, except that the announcers only ever talk about the team and the characters that we're following in this movie. They do not mention any other teams or any other characters. I'm like, well, that's not the least bit realistic. So it takes me out of suspending my disbelief that I'm listening to actual announcers, and I'm like, so these are just straight ahead narrators, and they are explaining everything to you. Like they do not trust that anyone will be able to figure out the rules of F1 or any of the intricacies. So they just have these announcer characters who honestly sounded exactly like the two-headed announcer from Phantom Menace. They clearly just said that's the sound we want. Those are the voices we don't. I don't know if it was actually Greg Proops, but it sounded like it could have been. And so it was exactly that, but they're explaining everything to you. But hilariously, like, I don't know a ton about F1, but I know a little bit, and I know a little bit about professional racing of various kinds, not just F1. And like, the stuff that Brad Pitt's character is doing in this movie, like, so he's disqualified. Like, he's straight up disqualified. And like, there is nothing about any of the points system, right? All professional racing has a point system. You get deductions and things like that, especially when it's a team setup, two racers on the track that are part of the same team. And it's like, so despite the amount of just straight explaining it to the audience, nothing about the point system whatsoever. If you come in first, you win. Simple as that. And it's like, well, no, not really. not in an F1 circuit that goes across multiple races across the year and has a point system to it. But nope, you come in first, you win. That's all that matters. So yeah, all of that, like the weirdness of having so much explained straight to you in narration and then not following the real life rules about any of it. And then, like, because it's a movie, the whole thing is like, so this F1 team that which is a modern F1 team, it's not like this is a historical movie going back to the first F1 race or something like that. Modern times, like Brad Pitt and his partner, they are the first F1 drivers, the first pair of F1 drivers ever in history to figure out that they can work as a team.
Right.
Like, everyone else has two drivers on the track, but nobody else has ever figured out that the two of you could work as a team.
Literally the first thing anybody would have ever thought of.
Well,
literally
also,
the whole point. One of you is faster than
does.
the other one. I mean, have any of you seen the Ballad of Ricky Bobby? Right. Talladega Nights, because that's literally the whole plot of that movie.
Right, yes. So because of those factors, the complete unrealism of what's going on, it's like, well, it's very hard for me to like completely immerse myself and enjoy this movie because it's so silly. It's so silly that like
it's not even like that would be the first movie that ever came out with I won the race but didn't win the season sort of thing. Yes, I've seen that happen many times where it's like, your hero or heroine or whoever it is, your main character is just getting beat constantly and they finally win one game and that's their big moment. And yet the other person gets the gold medal or the award or this trophy or whatever.
That's exactly what this movie is. The team that they're coming on to, they're, a fictional team, of course, but they're at the very bottom of the standings. They've never come in even in the top 10. But of course, by the end of the movie, they're going to win the one race and they put the stakes on it, which is the owner who's a previous friend of Brad Pitt's character. It's like, he's got this whole thing. He's got investors. He's hundreds of millions of dollars in debt. But if they can win one race, he gets to hold on to ownership of the team, which doesn't sound like a very good deal, but he gets to hold on to ownership of the team. And if they don't outright win, have to come in first place, one race out of the entire year, somehow that's the rule that would mean that he loses ownership of the team, which sounds like it would be a great thing financially for that guy. But that's not what anybody wants in this movie.
I was listening to somebody talk about the finances of F1
not
too long ago, and the amount of money that you have to pay per driver just for their license, their racing license or whatever, and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes.
Is what they pay. That's not the car. That's just so the person can race. It's crazy money. Like, I don't understand how anybody's making any money on this thing.
Now,
it doesn't make any sense.
Like, in real life, there are what is it, 4 or 5 manufacturers of F1? Something like, it's a small number, right? And like
isn't like Cadillac and somebody else going to start this year for the very first time?
Honestly, I don't know a ton about F1, but like there's a very small number of manufacturers that build F1 cars, and F1 cars are as close to identical, regardless of who's manufacturing them, as you can possibly get. Like, that's kind of the point of F1, is that it's not about tricking out your car to be different from one another. It really is just about the skill of the driving. Like, that's supposed to be the only difference that's going on the track. Yeah. But here,
everything
of course,
else is cheating.
Here, of course, somehow this team, which is like a no-name team that's hundreds of millions of dollars in debt, they're building their own F1 car from scratch. And I'm like, well, no, that's not real. And then
I think there's like 2 different manufacturers that make the engines. So you can either go with like Ferrari or like Mercedes or something. I might be wrong about that. But I know Ferrari makes one of the engines.
Ferrari's one of them. Yeah.
I don't know who the other one is. Maybe McLaren. I don't know.
McLaren. But anyways, yes, McLaren definitely. Yeah.
So you just pick one of those two.
That's right.
You just buy the engine.
Right. And they are.
No one would remanufacture that from scratch.
Of course, they have the line in there about the exact pulled from every other racing Hollywood movie there's ever been. All the other teams are faster than us in the straights, but we can beat them in the corners.
Right. Right.
Good God. Well, okay, movie, but as far
That's
as
actually kind of
goes.
true in like MotoGP, and for some of the motorcycles, they're like faster in the straights and slower in the turns. And
sure. But F1 against the best F1 drivers in the world, you're going to tell me that the only place they can beat this scrappy underdog team is on the straights, but in the corners, that's where this team is going to beat the best F1 drivers in the world? Okay, all right, movie, but.
So last year? I think we went to the to St. Petersburg has an F1 or whatever it is, a racing thing here, and we went and watched it, and I was like, I ride bikes on those streets. They're not that wide, and those cars are way bigger than you think they are.
They ain't small.
You think they're like little go-karts, and they are
the
not.
cockpit might be small, but the whole car as a whole is not tiny.
Yeah, the whole car is like built to be. Anyways. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't pass people on the turns. I'm just saying that there's not a lot of room. But you got to be pretty careful.
The last thing I want to say about this movie is that, again, it's the most Hollywood movie of ever. So every one of the main characters, beginning or close to the beginning or at the introduction of the character, we get the clearly stated singular goal that this person has in their life. And then they have some challenges and they have a little down. And maybe they question whether they really are going to get to that goal. But of course, by the end of the movie, they all get to that goal. And not only do they get to that goal in the most Hollywood ending of all Hollywood endings, but they get to have some other characters say to them, you did it, you achieved your goal, in language as plain as that. And it's like, wow, what writing. So uplifting.
We did it.
You did it. Congratulations, you overcame your struggles and you achieved your singular stated goal in life. That was like quite literally the script, not even very far verbatim from that. So yeah, in case you can't tell, all of those things, I was like, well, I don't know why this movie was nominated as one of the top 10 best pictures of 2025. Like I said, it's absolutely competently made, right? Like no criticisms on that end of the thing. And I mean, it is the most Hollywood movie of all Hollywood movies, but for someone who's watched a lot of movies like I have, it's like, well, that script ain't winning any awards for me. So there you go. Well, that was F1 the movie.
And we have to remember this and like refrain from becoming quote unquote those people.
Yes, I.
But
I should say my parents enjoyed it because it was linear storytelling. We don't have a bunch of flashbacks. They have the narrators explaining exactly what's going on in every race moment to moment. And it was easy to follow. It was a simple Hollywood story. It had a happy ending and my parents enjoyed it. So, I mean, I think it was made for an older crowd. It felt like a throwback movie, but with modern video and audio. So, a lot of people are looking for exactly that. There you go.
I've talked about this before, but I had a younger person say to me one time something along the lines of, this recording artist is a once in a lifetime talent or whatever. I'm like, they're really not. I mean, I'm not saying they're not good. They're very good. They're very good. In fact, they're super talented, and I'm not going to take anything away from them. But the only reason you think that is because you weren't alive when this other person was the talent. And I'm only saying that because I wasn't alive when whoever came before them was the talent. And sometimes they make these movies where you're like, this movie is not great, and there's people around you who are younger or maybe older in your case, Rob, but who are younger who are like, this is the best movie I have ever seen. This scratches this itch that I've always wanted scratched. It's this feel good, scrappy underdog story that is told in a way that really hits me where it needs to hit me. And you're like, yeah, but these other movies did it so much better. And you're like, if you go back and watch those other movies, they hit you where they needed to hit you because you were of the age that this was the first time you had a movie hit you like that. And then since then you've seen 30 other movies that are exactly the same movie, but just with slightly different plots or whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a whole crowd who says, like, why don't they make movies like blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, okay, you know what? F1 is going to satisfy them. Why don't they make movies like Top Gun anymore? Well, they just did. So there you go.
Top Gun. Top Gun's a perfect example. I remember when Top Gun came out and everybody loved that movie. And I went and saw it, I mean, it's okay. It was fine. I mean, F1 I did not enjoy it.
F1 is not as good as Top Gun, but
but the formula of
baby,
of that movie, it's been done so many times, and every time one of those movies is made, somebody is like, "This is the best movie it's ever been." I'm like, "It's the same movie. It's the same one. It's fine." I'm glad that you enjoyed it. All right, so you watched that. I watched the Olympics.
There you go.
I've not been watching. It's happening too fast, and I have too many things going on, and I'm very upset that I cannot watch everything as quick. And the other thing is the recaps are killing me. Like, stop recapping things. Like, I don't want you to recap it. I want to watch it. I am interested in watching the ice skating or the ice dancing or whatever they're calling it. Apparently, there's a lot of drama, and it's very weird going on over there.
I mean, there's figure skating and there's ice dancing, two completely separate things.
Yeah, so the ice dancing, I think, is the one that is got all the drama because somebody divorced somebody, and then they got a different partner, and it's all very messy. And we're not rooting for this person because they're a terrible person. I don't know what's going on, but I'm very invested already. So I'd like to watch that. But I'm also interested in I've been watching the ski jumping, or they sometimes call it ski flying. I did not know that's some people say that because I didn't know that's what that was.
I know what a ski jumping.
I do know what a ski jump is, so I'm interested in watching that. But we've been kind of flitting around for different sports and watched a little slope style, as the ski slope style, whatever. Watched a little bit of that. So I'm loving the Olympics. I'm an Olympics kind of guy.
Hooray!
All right. This is AVRant, the podcast that answers your home theater and AV questions. To get your questions answered, all you have to do is ask. You ask by emailing us at question@avrant.com. Come to the website, find our shows, our show notes, Flickr albums that will go through all the pictures that we're referring to on this podcast, as well as any links to any products or articles, which I should put a link up for that. Got to remember to put a link up for that article on AV Gadgets with the isolation feed. I think I did it last week, but we'll have to find it again. And I will try to find a link for the actual things that I bought because they're a little bit squishier, and I feel like they'll be better for something as light as. That's why I bought them, because I was like, my wife is throwing around SB2000s, so apparently they're not as heavy. Not as heavy as I thought they were. She doesn't have back problems. She does have a knee issue, but she's like, oh yeah, they weren't that bad. I'm like, really? Yeah. And she did a great job. We want to thank our lists. No, you can find us on Facebook.com/AVRant podcast, YouTube.com/AVRant.
That's right.
Where you can find the pictures will be integrated into the video. Thank Rob at AVRant.com. I'm trying to get through this as fast as possible. It's making me slow. Rob at avrant.com. His socials is at First Reflect. I'm Tom at avrant.com.
Yeah.
I'm going to thank our listeners of the week. To become a listener of the week, support the podcast in some way. One of the ways you can do that is going to avrant.com. Click on the Buy Us a Cup of Coffee link where you can send us a PayPal donation. You can also go to patreon.com/AVRant podcast to become a monthly contributor. We have 121 patrons currently, including James. So thank you to all of our listeners who have contributed, all of our patrons, and James specifically.
That's right. That is, once again, patreon.com/AVRant podcast if you'd like to sign up to make an automatic monthly donation. So a big thank you to our 121 patrons over there this week. James, thank you for being one of them. He's been one for a while, so thank you.
And to thank, if you can't support us financially, support us in some other ways, and we will mention you here. Greg sent me a movie code to test. He also mentioned how he appreciated our discussions about the Bach audio processing. I just looked for that movie code. The only movie code I could find in my inbox, so maybe I have the wrong one, was already used, I think.
I can resend at some point.
And you might have to resend that to me because I could not find it. But anyways, I will look for it. But
yes,
Scott gave me permission to use his photos on AV Gadgets, so thank you, Scott.
That's right. That was in a form of the link, by the way. I'll just tell Tom. So maybe I'll re-forward that email again and highlight just the links so that you know what photos he was referring to. But thank you, Greg. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah. We also got notes of gratitude for keeping the podcast going from Greg, Nathan, Chris, Julian, Gurinder, who says congrats on 1,000 episodes eventually, when we decide to finally get there. And then say hi to Lee for him, because his Lee at AVRant email address is not working anymore. That's right. And I don't know who you're talking about. Daniel is Tom happy with the Olympic curling, that Olympic curling is back? I don't know, Daniel. Tell me. You tell me. So Daniel he finds it oddly calming and satisfying. It wasn't been calming lately. It's been very exciting.
Edge of the seat.
It has been edge of the seat. They've been throwing some crazy shots. And I don't understand how this sport works at all. Like, at all. As somebody who gets pool, like understands how pool is supposed to work, and still cannot make a shot consistently in pool, the thought of sliding a stone across ice and getting it to go anywhere near where you want it to go is astonishing to me.
It does take some practice and skill. It really does.
Daniel asks, what are each of our favorite Winter Olympic sports? I don't know that I have a favorite.
I mean, I've got to say ice hockey, that's obviously.
Oh,
and then
Canadian, yeah.
I really like the ice dancing. I'm a big fan of the ice dancing.
So I did watch the women, just the American women slaughter the Finns in like a qualifying match. And I have friends in Finland, I need to text them and give them a hard time about that. But I don't know that I have a particular, like, Winter Olympics. I like a lot of it. And I will continue to watch Winter Olympic sports for many months after this is over. I will go back and watch like the biathlon and all these weird sports I've never heard of, because I just enjoy watching sport people be good at things. So I don't know that I have a particular favorite for Winter Olympics. I do like speed skating a lot. But my wife doesn't, so I feel like I can't say that. Dale, James is a member of the 2 Hour Plus Club. He's looking forward to the official 1,000th episode. And after hearing my exasperation at the TV repair technician showing up, but without the needed part, James blames the just-in-time parts distribution model that relies on a series of subcontractors and often results in not actually on time. That frustrates the technicians just as much as the customers. Yeah, James, I understand. The bike shop that I part-time work at, we have many parts. In fact, we have too many parts, and it's a problem. Like, it is a problem. But the shop that's right across the street and up like 3 blocks, they are it used to be a Trek shop. They're now locally owned because Trek's basically going out of business, I think, or getting bought by private equity, which is worse. And they are a just-in-time shop, which means they order their parts when your bike comes in. So your bike comes in, and if they don't have the part there, which they normally don't, they order the part. But if they need something or something's hard to find, they come to us.
Okay,
They just come to our shop and say, "Do you have this part?"
What was the whole during the pandemic? The whole just-in-time, entire system, like really showed its fallibility during an event like that. So some people changed, but lots of people have gone back. So yes, could be the case.
And Alan, lastly,
That's
Alan.
Right.
So we got notes of gratitude from Greg, Nathan, Chris, Julian, Gurinder, Dan, Daniel, Dale, James, and Alan. Thank you for thanking us.
Indeed. I'll say the names one more time so they came from my lips. We got Greg, Nathan, Chris, Julian, Gurinder, Dan, Daniel, Dale, James, and Alan. Thanks so much for those notes of gratitude and encouragement. We really appreciate them. And a big thank you to everybody who continues to listen and send in your questions.
So in the news, we're going to start really quickly and say that Arkham just made a big release this, right, Arkham?
Yes, it was morning. Arkham. So a whole new series of both speakers and AV receivers, separates as well. So yeah, that news dropped, but I just didn't have time to include all of the details because I want to actually understand the details of it, not just say that the things exist. So yeah, we'll cover that next week in more detail.
Right. So start with KEF. KEF is a new pair of wireless self-powered speakers that bring the price point down compared to their LS50 and LSX series. For $1,000 a pair, the KEF Coda W speakers utilize the 5.25 woofer plus 1-inch aluminum dome tweeter with the Uni-Q concentric drivers from the Q series with 100 watts per channel on board to offer 40 hertz extension, a bit more output capabilities than a lot of other self-powered speaker pairs out there. Around the back, there are, of course, RCA and optical inputs, but also a dedicated RCA phono input and USB-C and HDMI ARC inputs. There's also an RCA subwoofer output with an automatic 80 hertz crossover. They're available in 5 different colors and shipping now. If nothing else for the KEF, you can count on them to have colors.
Yeah, you see, you can,
give you color options.
Yeah, no, I'm really quite pleased to see these because, of course, we've been big fans of the LS50 and LS50 wireless.
It's expensive.
LS50 Wireless 2, I think, is what they're on right now. But yeah, the LS50 Wireless 2 is, they're charging $3,000 a pair for those things now. So I'm like, ooh, that's a bit spendy. And then there are the smaller LSX, it's the LSX2, Generation 2 that they're on now. But those are $1,500 a pair and really, like, quite output limited because it's a very small little woofer on those LSX series speakers. And, $1,500 and limited output. So I'm like, okay, I'm really glad to see KEF, obviously they're going to borrow technology from their Q series, which is a very good sounding series, but a little bit more affordable. $1,000 a pair, which is, not insignificant, but well less than the LS series that they were doing before. And then, actually going for a little bit higher output than a lot of the competition. Most of the competition that you'll see at the $1,000 or under price point, very often it's 50 watts a channel. And these are 100 watts a channel, and those UniQ drivers are relatively efficient. They're not like outlandishly or so, but they're a little bit more efficient than some other drivers that you'll find. So yeah, got some decent output coming from these. They're not the tiniest in the world because they're ever so slightly bigger than the regular Q series, 5.25-inch bookshelf model.
They're kind of tall, is the way I would describe them. They don't look that wide,
right?
Or particularly deep. They're kind of they're a little deep, not too bad, but they're a little taller than you might expect.
Like they look like very much box bookshelf speakers. They're not breaking the mold with the cabinet design on these things at all, but completely reasonable. And they have that HDMI ARC input on the back too, which I'm a big fan of having that now.
Well, I like the phono input too because it kind of gives them the flexibility that a lot of people are looking for. Like, oh, I want to buy a record player, but I don't have a receiver. I have a sound bar. How am I going to play these things? And, I'm always looking for recommendations for how to do that. And this is a good solution here, I think. I do like the little ribbed front of it, too. I think because
these don't come with grills. This is KEF in the modern age. Yeah. They don't include grills with their speakers anymore. There are other, regular home theater speakers. You can optionally purchase grills as an add-on price. But yeah, we'll also see here they have like a dedicated stand. I believe they mentioned those are like, wait, sorry. I was thinking about Arcam with the solid aluminum. I'm reading too many things all in the same morning. But anyway, yeah, the stands that they're selling, for these are a little bit on the spendy side. $300 for a pair.
$400.
Oh, $400 for the pair. Yeah, yeah.
I'm looking at them.
And then
don't worry, they have a cable too that's $60.
Well, that's just it. One of the interesting things is that there's 2 USB-C ports on the back of this because for the one of the speakers houses all the electronics, and then the other one is essentially passive, which is common. But they actually connect to each other via a USB-C cable, so they really do have amplification in both of them. But you only connect power to one of them, and then there's power and the signal digitally going across to the other speaker. So kind of an interesting setup that they've got going on there. But yeah, that's what's going on with the KEF Coda W. I think I'm going to find situations where these are going to be a top recommendation.
Yeah. The back of the second speaker that just has the USB-C connection looks really bare.
There's not much there. That's right.
The other one's got all these connections, and this one's just like, nope, just this.
But yeah, it checks a lot of boxes. So
yeah, I like it.
Good on them.
So Valve has announced that the Steam Machine and Steam Frame gaming systems they announced at the end of 2025 will not be released in Q1 of 2026 as promised, and they still don't know how much they're going to have to charge for them. So isn't there something else going on with Steam and some video game that there's some drama going on there? I don't remember what it is. Anyways.
I'm not entirely sure.
The new Steam controller is also being delayed along with the console and the VR headset, even though Valve is specifically citing the RAM and SSD price surge and availability concerns as a reason for the delay and uncertain price points. They posted, quote, "When we announced these products in November, we planned on being able to share the specific pricing and launch dates by now, but the memory and storage shortages you've likely heard about across the industry have rapidly increased since then." AI is ruining everything. The limited availability and growing prices of these critical components mean we must revisit our exact shipping schedule and pricing, end quote.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was at a Super Bowl party, which sucked. I hated going to Super Bowl parties. But it was especially sucky because even though the day was not too cold, it was an outside party, and they had heaters and stuff, but I didn't want to be outside. Also, I couldn't enjoy the commercials because I couldn't hear anything, and that was the only reason I was there. But then basically everybody's been complaining ever since was nothing but AI commercials, just like the .com year where all the commercials were like super expensive, and like at the end of it you were like, what did they do? What did they sell?
The crypto year where everything was crypto.
Yeah. So apparently this year was all AI. So if it's starting to feel like if the Super Bowl commercials are all about a thing, that's the thing that's about to explode. So yay. Yeah. So can we stop making things that are just, doing nothing but sucking up resources for everything else? I mean, we had that with the cryptocurrency. We could not get a GPU to save our lives because they were all getting sucked up by the crypto miners, and now it's like, okay, well, it's AI, and nobody gets water anymore for whatever reason, and then on top of that,
or cheap electricity,
and on top of that, you get these computer parts are now completely bought up by the AI people. So let's just stop. Can we just stop with that, please? And also, can somebody fix my TV?
That would also be nice. Yeah, the panel itself shouldn't have a bunch of RAM in it, but
who knows?
But anyway, so a little bit. I mean, Valve has all the money in the world, but even with all the money in the world, you can't buy a thing that doesn't exist.
Yes, that's true.
So that that's a little bit there. And Valve has said all along they are not going to sell the new Steam machine at a loss. They are not going to make it a loss leader and make the money back on Steam game sales, which seems like a thing that would be totally viable as a business solution. But they've said they're not going to do it. So who knows what this little thing is going to cost? I mean, every month that they wait, it only gets older in terms of comparisons to what you could do building your own gaming PC. It's not going to be as teeny tiny as the Steam machine if you build your own, but the longer they wait, the more out of date it becomes, and it wasn't already like the most powerful thing in the world. They're like, it's about as powerful as the top 30%. Like it's more powerful than what about 70% of our Steam game sales users are using according to their tracking data. But I'm like, okay, so kind of middle of the road, essentially, is what the power of the thing is. So I don't know if this thing's going to be a massive success by the time it comes out or not. It's looking more and more doubtful.
So if you own a TCL TV with MediaTek Pentonic 700 chip inside, so basically anything from last year and the flagship models from 2024, get ready for a big update to the interface. Those TVs run Google TV, but based on the underlying Android 12 platform. So they're all going to be upgraded to Android 14. That's going to bring with it quick media switching support, although only on the 2 out of the 4 HDMI 2.1 inputs, and only if the QMS source device is plugged directly into the TV. So passing QMS through an AV receiver, even when that says that it supports QMS, isn't supported for some reasons.
Yeah. Also, quick media switching, not as useful as everyone was hoping for, because what it does, the whole idea here is, we're all used to the thing of you switch from one video format to another. So you change the resolution, or you change the frame rate, or you change from SDR to HDR, or whatever it is. And we've been used to, okay, there's a however long black screen that you look at for a little while. Some displays are really quite quick making that transition, and some take, some of the projectors can take upwards of like 30 seconds. You're looking at a black screen for a substantial amount of time until it resets and reclocks.
Don't worry, you're still hearing it though.
That's right. Yeah.
you hear it just fine.
So the whole idea of QMS, quick media switching, is that there is no black screen whatsoever. Instantaneous change. And they've said that will work. So like, let's say you take an Apple TV 4K, which is a source device that supports quick media switching, and you connect it to one of these brand new TCL TVs that's got Google TV that's running on the platform of Android 14 underneath, and that both of those devices support quick media switching. They're like, if you change the resolution, instantaneous. If you change the frame rate, instantaneous. But if you switch from SDR to HDR or HDR to SDR, there's still a black screen. So like, okay, out of these things, what's the most common thing that's going to be changing frequently? I'm like, might be the SDR to HDR transition.
If HDMI had a tagline, it would be disappointing you since 2007.
Since inception.
Or whenever it came out. Since inception, Under delivering. Under delivering always. I mean, it is astonishingly consistent in its ability to disappoint you in what they tell you something, you get excited about it, and then it arrives and you're like, it's kind of like when you buy something from Amazon, it's like a couch or whatever, and it comes and it's like a couch for a dollhouse, and you're like, oh, I guess I should have looked at the
the dimensions a little more closely.
Yeah.
Oh, that was millimeters. That wasn't inches. Yeah. But yeah, the other fun thing, of course, is in a way, because one of the things people have always said is, hey, I don't like it when I buy a TV, and then 2 years later, you get the new TV, and it's got a whole new updated interface, and for some reason, they won't even, push out a firmware update and update my 2-year-old interface to the current one. So that's what they're doing. Yeah, you're getting the current interface, but also, it's Google TV. It's the new Android 14 version of Google TV. It's the most up-to-date interface, which means Google Gemini is front and center. Get ready for that AI to interrupt you at every possible turn. So
I'm going to be honest with you. Soundcore, which is one of my go-to recommendations, right? For is that right? So Soundcore, is that the name of it?
The Anchor sub-brand?
Yeah, Anchor brand. Yeah. I opened up their app for the first time in a while to control their headphones, and AI just popped up on it. I'm like, what do I need this for?
Yes.
What do I need this for on a pair of headphones?
The EQ on my headphones. Must AI it.
What would I ever want it to do? What would I want it to do? Because all I needed to do, all I ever adjust, like after I set my EQ, which is always just flat, all I ever adjust is the amount of noise reduction. The noise cancellation, and I don't need it to do that for me on the fly. Why would I need that? Like, why would you have any? What could you possibly improve in this situation? Because I'm
improve. No, not improve. You can talk to it, wait longer than it would have taken for you to just toggle a button with your finger, and then have it not quite do what you actually wanted it to do. I mean, this is the future, Tom. Get on board.
Yeah. All right. I will tell you one thing. So I just published a review on AV gadgets of the Lepro, Lepro, outdoor lights that I got a while ago, and I installed them. I kind of waited around. The big holdup on this was their app is impenetrable as far as I can tell as to how this thing works. Like, I refuse to watch 20 videos to figure out how to control the lights on the front of my house. I just refuse to do it. I don't think any of you would do it. Maybe you would, but I think that most people won't, and that they'll just futz with the app until they get it to do what they want it to do, and then that'll be the end of it. And that's what I did. And the app is not great, but the lights themselves are amazing, and I'm really super happy with the lights themselves. But it was easier trying to figure out how to control this thing was like, I just couldn't do it. I mean, I could basically get some stuff done, but I couldn't do it the way that it says that you can. Like, it says you can control each individual light in the string. I'm like, I can't. I can't figure out how to do that on this app. This app does not make any sense. There's not the string of lights that it's showing is not nearly long enough to do the thing that I'm supposed to be able to do. And I'm just, whatever. But the front page of it is an AI thing. And I'm like, press the button. I'm like, make it Christmas colored. Make the lights Christmas colored. Yep. And then from there, I can adjust it to do other things I wanted to do, but to just get the lights to be the basic color I wanted them to do. And can we just stop calling it AI? Because it's not. It's just an algorithm, because guess what it couldn't do? It couldn't set up start and stop time. I'm like, that's a basic function.
That'd be kind of nice. Scheduling when your lights turn on and off.
It couldn't do it. And then in the app, it was like, it had a weird name for it. It was like startup. It was like fade in, fade out time, or something like that. It didn't really make sense. And then my wife and I both have the app, and she shared the lights with me so that because she started the thing, and we're both controlling them, but one doesn't override the other. So she has the lights going on earlier than me. So when the lights go on, they're under her control. But then my control takes over, and it's all very stupid. But the lights themselves are amazing. Yeah, I really the installing the lights was super easy. Other than the ladder, I didn't talk about this in the review, but have no idea how tall your house is until you have to stick lights underneath your eave. You're like, geez, where am I going to get a ladder for this? I had to borrow a ladder from a friend who's a painter to get up there. Comments from our listener. So our sometimes guest co-host Joe Klusnick was a guest on the home theater. Klusnick, sorry, was a guest on the home theater Geeks with Scott Wilkinson as the first person to show off his home theater build and results under the new home theater of the month format. So there's a home theater of the month format that they're doing now, and he was the first one. So you can go check it out. We'll have a YouTube link for you.
Yeah, they were doing home theater of the month over there on Home Theater Geeks for a while, but Scott decided to do a whole new format for it, a little bit longer, a little bit more in depth for folks that are able to supply that sort of thing. So Joe Klusnick was right on it, and it was a great episode. I watched it on YouTube, so a lot of fun. So if you've been interested to see and hear all about Joe's theater, then they go through it. He shot some nice little videos and did great explanations, as they were being shown on screen. So I thought it was very, very nicely done.
All right, Julian and Errol both heard Daz's question last week about where to rent movies in the best quality, and they both recommended Choovie Rentals. So that's CHOOVIE.
That's right.
They are a small business, but they're picking up basically where Netflix left off and sending disc rentals by mail, including Ultra HD Blu-rays, via subscription service. So check them out.
That's right.
And along the very same lines, Kerry has been happy with 3D Blu-ray rental. He's been subscribed to them ever since Netflix stopped doing disc by mail. And don't let the name fool you. They also offer Ultra HD Blu-rays too. So I don't know what the difference is in pricing, but I'm sure there's some difference. But I imagine it's not that much since they're probably direct competition with each other there.
And these certainly neither of them has the sort of scale that Netflix had at their heyday of discs by mail. So both so all three, Julian, Errol, and Kerry, they all mentioned how sometimes you're waiting a little bit longer, particularly if it's a really popular movie. You might be waiting a while. You put it in your queue just like you used to with Netflix, and then their distribution network is not nearly as large as Netflix's used to be, so they seem to have set up sort of centrally in the United States, and then it has to make its way by mail because it's just using regular mail service. So from sort of centrally located United States to everywhere they are. So literally how far away you are from the center of the country can make a difference in terms of shipping times that go on there. But as long as you're aware of those types of things, then they're feeling like, hey, there's still a way to rent discs. You don't have any, retail stores that you can just go to down on the corner and rent a disc there anymore, and Netflix isn't doing it anymore. So some of the smaller ones I mentioned, there are some regional ones in that. So here are two that are coming recommended from our listeners: Choovie and 3D Blu-ray rental.
So Gurinder wrote in and said, someone asked about whether the game picture mode on an LG CX OLED helped with reducing latency at all. Rob said it could, but other people were saying it doesn't make a difference. So Gurinder remembered that the CX game mode can reduce latency, but for some reason, only if HDCP is turned off in the PS5. So you can't play movie discs on the PS5 if you do that, unless you turn it back on in the PS5's menu again. But you can play games, and that was the only way to get the reduced latency when using the LG CX game picture mode. So there you go. It can be done, and most people, once again, say, it doesn't work for me, so therefore it doesn't work. Or maybe, shut up.
So a little bit bizarre, and I honestly didn't remember that. I don't know if I ever even knew that.
I don't know that.
I was taking my info from the fantastic Vincent Tio over at HGTV Test, and he's like, "Yep, he measured lower latency in the game mode going back to the CX." I'm like, "Well, that's all the evidence I need. It can be done." But I didn't recall the whole thing of having to turn off the copy protection, which is only there for movie discs, right? I mean, the PS5 can play Blu-rays, can play DVDs. So that's all. The only reason that the copy protection is on that thing. It's not for the games, but there you go. Turn that sucker off and you can get the low latency in game mode.
Okay, some questions. Brian asks, hey, whatever happened to Lee's center speaker upgrade plans? Did he decide on a speaker that would physically fit in his TV stand yet? Did he buy it? Inquiring minds want to know. Who's Lee?
Yes. That would be Lee Overstreet, sometimes guest co-host on this podcast. Very possibly pinch hitting again next week. I don't know. I haven't asked him yet, and maybe I'll wait until 5 minutes before I do, so that he can't say no. But yeah, no, I do know for a fact Lee has not purchased a new center speaker yet. He warned everyone himself. He takes a long time before making a decision and purchasing anything. So when he's done it, we will hear about it.
Oh yeah. Luckily, once he does purchase something, suddenly it's the best thing that's ever been invented.
That's
and
right.
He can't believe he didn't do it earlier.
That's right.
the rest of us have to listen to that insufferability.
And also that, those Ascend Sierra Duo speakers, which are my top recommendation to him, that they're not getting any cheaper, Lee. They're not getting any cheaper as we wait and wait and wait. But
we waiting for AI to be integrated into them, Lee?
AI is only going to make them more expensive.
So just an update. A while back, we discussed his dilemma about whether to buy the Yamaha integrated amp that he wanted at the lowest price he could find, which was from Accessories for Less, or whether he should spend significantly more, but purchase it from the local brick and mortar store where he discovered the Yamaha integrated amp in the first place, thanks to them letting him listen to it in person. Our discussion helped him decide that he values buying from his local store enough that he'd spend the extra money, but... His hot water tank broke, and for some reason, his wife strongly felt that it was more important to have a functioning hot water tank instead of a new integrated amp. It's not even Class D, so the Yamaha would have to generate some heat too. But it's such as the life of a homeowner. So for now, neither retailer got the sale, but they do have a hot water again.
Yes, yeah.
So this is the only thing I'll say. I remember this conversation, and this is the only thing I'll say. I want to say about this is, if you do decide to support local business, which I think is a good thing, but I also understand that people, I am one of them who buys online because it's cheaper. It's cheaper a lot of times to buy from Amazon or from, Newegg or from wherever. The only as somebody that works at a brick and mortar bike shop part of the time, we don't really care if you buy online. That doesn't bother us. If you're going to come into the shop and buy something, great. We're there. We're a convenience, and we're convenient in that if you need it, it is there, and you can buy it right away. You don't have to wait for shipping or whatever. Yes, you'll maybe pay a premium for that.
Yep.
But we don't. We're happy to have it there for you if you want to buy it. We're also pleased as punch if you don't bother us and stay away so that we can work on other things and buy your stuff online. That's fine as well. Doesn't really bother us. What does bother us is one of two things. One, if you come in with your phone in your hand and say, which of these should I buy? And then you go and buy it from them. It's like, don't waste my time. Don't waste my time helping you choose your product and then complain to me that I told you to buy the wrong one because you can't figure out how to make it work. Like the LG CX that we just talked about. You told me it was going to have lower latency and then blah, blah, blah. It's like, listen, just because you can't figure it out doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It just means that you don't know what the heck you're doing and you should have bought from us in the first place. And second, if you do choose to buy from us, don't say, I like to support local. Okay. I'm glad that you're supporting. You don't have to say that you're supporting local. I am experiencing it. Thank you very much. You telling us that you're supporting local doesn't do anything for us other than irritate us to hear you say it. It's like, listen, we get it. You're here, you bought it, and you're also complaining about how expensive it is, but you want to support local. So that's my only quip. If you're like, I want to support local, just go and buy it and be like, I'm so glad you guys are here.
I'm betting that hot water tank wasn't ordered online. I'm betting that came from the person who installed it. I'm betting yes that you paid a premium for it. You didn't wait 5 days for it to ship from Amazon. So he asks, and I forget who we're talking about here. Brian, will Rob be watching all of the Best Picture nominees again this year? He enjoyed hearing the full list of reviews last year, and he's particularly eager to hear us talk about the movie Train Dreams. Boy, that sounds like an autistic movie. And if we like that, he'd also recommend a movie called Old Joy. Fingers crossed we'll get to that one someday. Okay. Well,
I don't know what either of those movies are, so I don't know.
As you might have surmised by the past 2 weeks of my movie reviews, I am indeed going through the top 10 Best Picture nominees again this year. I enjoy doing that. As I did last year, I start with the ones that are most readily available to me and work my way down until, single renting the ones that I can't see easily. I'm very much looking forward to Train Dreams. The only issue there is it is exclusively available on Netflix. And at some point, I will subscribe to Netflix for one more month and I will watch Train Dreams because I absolutely absolutely am looking forward to that one, and we'll watch it, but it's not at the top of my list.
Is it an autistic movie? Is it about autistic people?
I don't actually know. All I know is it's supposed to be very, very sad. That's all I've heard about it. I've heard nothing else spoiler wise about it.
So lastly, he asks, what about this for an idea? Not every week, but maybe like once a month or something. Could we pick a movie and announce it for everyone, and both of us, of course, and then we could have a more in-depth and spoiler-filled discussion? I love this idea. It's like book club, but movie club for our listeners. I love this idea, and once we get to episode 1,000, we will implement this idea.
Okay.
And I get a home theater again, for the love of God.
Kind of a key
TV
part to
that
it.
works.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I very much like the idea. I would be on board with it. The only issue has always been like, it's just sometimes we say here's the movie we intend to watch. It's like, well, time, life, whatever, and we didn't manage to one of us, let alone both of us, get to it every time. But if we commit to it, I'm down. So there you go. I like the idea.
I'm
very
down
much.
for that.
Yeah,
like last
it
episode.
would not be every single week. There is no way I'm going to promise that is even possible.
I can't
because of life.
I can't commit to that.
That's
I just have until my son gets out of high school. You do not understand. I mean, maybe you do. Many of you do understand, but those of you that don't or don't remember, he is a junior in high school and he does not drive, which is infuriating. But he takes up so much time, just so much time. So I just cannot commit. Karl. Okay, so Karl says the whole projector versus giant flat panel TV topic. This is what he's going to address here. So we all know Karl's personal preference is for an unusually large field of view, third row at the full IMAX Grand Theater. My lord, that is so close.
Like, not because he arrived late and all the other seats were gone. Like, that's his first choice is the third row at the full-on IMAX Grand Theater size of screen.
That is crazy. That's what he and his wife enjoy. Yeah. Both of you need your eyes checked. That's all I have to say. Go get your eyes checked.
It is not my personal preference.
So even the largest flat panels would require him or them to sit uncomfortably close. Yeah. So projection is really the only thing that makes sense for them personally.
Yep, totally fair.
But let's put that aspect of things aside for a moment. They've actually had their calibrator over to bring their JVC's NZ900's light output down a couple of times, in fact. At the moment, Windshow in HDR is calibrated to output maximum peaks of 120 nits, and for 3D with glasses darkening the image a bit, it can output 150 nits. Somehow, at 108 peak nits, Dolby Cinemas still feel brighter. But that is certainly because Karl does not have his Vanta Black Theater yet, so they're still dealing with a bit more ambient light in the home than what Dolby Cinema offers, or that Dolby Cinemas would offer. But all of those peak nit figures, they're nowhere near the sorts of numbers that get thrown out there as a good thing when talking about flat panel TVs.
True.
So let's not misunderstand things. He has seen lots and lots of very high-end flat panels, including micro LEDs, and some basically cost no object home theaters. But a really good calibrated projector just looks better. So let's put it to us, Tom and Rob, this way. Forget about price or practical considerations. We can have a display for free, and we can have all the private home theater room that we want. In our heart of hearts, what are we going for? And also forget about objective numbers and trying to adhere to technical industry standards and all that. What just feels more like our ideal movie viewing experience? Because even some of those micro LED owners, 115-inch LCD owners, they're like, yeah, a home theater projector experience in a completely darkened room still feels more cinematic. So this is what I think.
Okay. That's what he's asking.
This is what I think. I think that projectors feel more cinematic because they do not have the peak brightness in the HDR and even SDR that flat panels do, and that flat panels have especially OLEDs with HDR OLEDs have the ability to just feel more directly, light shining directly at you versus that reflected overall, I don't want to say dimmer, but less contrasty.
I mean, it is
image.
dimmer and it is lower contrast. That's just objectively true.
So I think that if you were to get a projector, this magical projector that was just as good as an OLED and the same size, and in an OLED that was the same size as a screen that you would want in whatever room you were in, and they both had the exact same quote unquote performance metrics as far as contrast and output, light output, and everything else. This all suddenly becomes the Yamahas are warm and Denons are clinical or whatever discussion, because there would be no objective difference between the two, and therefore you would be arguing, I just like the way that projectors feel. That's fine. That's fine. You know what I like? I like that I don't hear a projector above my head anymore.
Sure.
I would venture to guess that if I put you in a room, not you, but these people who think that projectors are the best thing in the world, right? If I put them in a room with a flat panel TV, a very large flat panel TV on the wall with a screen like skirting around it so you couldn't see it was a flat panel TV, and then put a noisemaker above their heads with a light that kind of like just shone on the ceiling a little bit, so it looked like the light coming from a projector, and you dim down the image of that flat panel so it more closely seemed like the output of a projector from the flat panel. They would say that this was a more cinematic experience than any flat panel display. I would venture to guess that is what it is. It is more of, I associate all of this with being in the movie theater, therefore it feels more cinematic. But in reality, it's just all that cinematicness is between your ears, and it has nothing to do with what's actually going on in front of you.
I don't really think it can be argued that part of the feeling of going out to the movies has nothing to do with the image on the screen. I mean, there's all kinds of other parts that
smells. There's the big popcorn that has way too much fake butter on it, and oil, whatever. But I mean,
just the size of the room, the circulation of the air in the theater is different than the circulation of the air in your room at home. Like, there are genuinely tangible, measurable, objective differences that have nothing to do with the image on the screen, but all of them are perceptible by our human body and our five senses, and contribute to this feels like I'm out at the movies versus this feels like I'm watching something at home. But let's put even that side of stuff aside, because he's only asking about the image that's on the screen, right? He's asking, heart of hearts, price no object, I can do whatever I want. I would definitely have a much larger room than my current room, no question.
It'd be hard to have a smaller one, that's for sure.
That's right. I would be probably sitting about 15 feet away from the screen, which means that to get the field of view that I personally prefer, which is nowhere near as large as what Karl and his wife prefer, but it is still a nice large, I really like about a 46-degree field of view. That's perfectly within my druthers.
46.
Yes, that's right.
Most people say about 45.
That's right.
Go on.
But if I'm 15 feet or slightly more from eyes to screen, that's going to mean I need a screen that is larger than any flat panel that I can buy, but it is not larger than a Samsung The Wall micro LED display that I could buy, and that's what I would buy. And I would actually buy one that is larger than what would provide the 46-degree field of view that I like in terms of width, because since it's a micro LED, and when it has black bars, those black bars are inky perfectly black, just like an OLEDs are, that means I can oversize the screen and therefore fit whatever aspect ratio, right? If I want it to be taller than it is wide, because I'm watching something that is true IMAX or even 4:3 and I just want it that size. If I want 1.85 to 1 to be taller than 2.35 to 1, but not quite as wide, I mean, look, cost no object in my ideal theater. I'm definitely going to have an outboard scaler that can make it so that I can have that screen, the image size be exactly the size that I want it for whatever the aspect ratio is, and change on the fly if the aspect ratios are changing or whatever it is. And with the perfect ink black borders around it on a micro LED, I can do that. So I have an over provisioned size screen. But that's what I would go for over a projector, which, what I was just talking about could also be done with a projector. But I'm going from a micro LED. When I see those perfect black. There is no projector that produces perfect black. There is no projector that produces perfect black like borders when you have a changing aspect ratio, and there is no motorized masking system that's fast enough to go instantly between scene changes that go between 16:9 and the 2.35:1. So I'm going to have perfect black inky borders. Am I necessarily going to have it, maxed out in terms of light output? Probably not, because I don't literally want to be squinting when I'm looking at my thing. But guess what you can do with an outboard video processor? You can bring the light level of a flat panel down. That's entirely doable. Now, look, part of the feeling, I've said this before, right? Theaters for SDR, standard dynamic range, are not targeting even 100 nits that any TV at home would be targeting, or any mastering monitor in a mastering studio would be targeting. They're targeting right around 50 to 52, 53 nits for SDR, about half the brightness. And part of that is that when you're at that movie theater setting and the room is completely dimmed down, it's like to have your pupils not move at all, to have them not close down or dilate whatsoever, just your pupils stay stationary. You actually need most of the movie to be under 30 nits. Otherwise, your pupils are going to start moving a little bit. That's just what's going to happen physiologically. So I get that. I get that sensation when you don't like it any brighter than that. And that's totally fine if that's what you prefer. I like it a little bit brighter than that. I also wouldn't hate having a little, like not bright, but a little bit of ambient light in the room. I wouldn't mind that on a personal level, but I don't want that if I've got a projector. If I got a projector, I want a bat cave because I want maximum contrast that I can get. But if I've got a micro LED, I can have a little bit of light on in the room. It would still be dim, but I could have a little bit of light on and I wouldn't lose out on the contrast. So yes, heart of hearts, that's what I'm doing. I don't mind whatsoever that you found the thing that you prefer, Karl. That's fantastic. Great. And both things exist. So there it is.
Yeah. For me, I would, for my room, room I have right now is too small. The room I had before was a little too small. I would like to have a slightly larger room and basically around 100 to 120 inch screen with my preferred field of view, whatever that is. I don't remember exactly what it is. But I like having a little bit more distance between me and my speakers. And that's more of what I care about than the image. There has been the case that I have had a TV where I'm sitting so close to it. And this TV is right on the verge of that. Where you sit too close to it and it just feels too close.
You just physically feel like you're close to the TV. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't mind that, but once you get past that, I don't really care.
Okay.
I don't really care. I care more about the speakers and having the speakers be a good distance from me. And in my current room, they're going to be a little close. Dan says, okay, so you buy a new pair of speakers. They have dual binding posts. They always come with jumpers to connect the dual binding posts together. But in the audiophile community, they laugh and 100% expect you to throw those things away along with the packing material because they are quote unquote trash. He looked into it, and almost all jumpers are made of brass. Some are coated in gold, but that's typically to prevent corrosion. The standard practice for audiophiles is to either buy amp or buy wire. Or to make your own jumpers out of pure copper speaker wire. But pure copper wire could corrode, or sometimes the recommendation is to terminate those DIY jumpers with spades or banana plugs. Okay, let's just overcomplicate things. But he looked into those, and most of them are brass, or maybe some other metal, maybe with a super thin layer of gold to, again, prevent corrosion, but they're not pure copper. So aren't we just right back to square one? And for that matter, even if you buy wire or buy amp, if you're terminating the ends of your speaker wires with spades or banana plugs, aren't you just right back to being limited to the electrical transfer characteristics for whatever metal was used to make those terminations? Are there spades or banana plugs that are out there that are made from better material with electrical transfer characteristics that are equal or better than pure copper? Can we comment on all this?
Oh, goodness.
No. If I could just say something, if you are going to take logic and apply it to any like hardcore enthusiasts within a community, you are quickly going to run up against the fact that there is no logic that can make whatever they're saying make sense. And this goes for literally every community I have ever been a part of or heard of. The cycling community is a perfect example. The road cyclists out there will talk about grams and watts and everything else as if they are, it makes a massive difference to their cycling experience. And I'm like, you have lost your mind. Mm-hmm. Not a single one of you out here I could put you on a bike that is, 20 grams lighter. You will not tell a difference. You can wear cycling socks that demonstrably, objectively, in a wind tunnel will give you 20 extra watts, right? None of you.
Seems like a lot for socks, but okay.
It is stupid. But they're like golf ball things. They have wind, whatever. They're. I really fast people that I've cycled with are wearing those socks, and I've asked them. They're like, "Oh no, I can't tell the difference. Of course not. They're just really expensive." And that's what it comes to. There is no logic to this. So why do they say to do this? Because the number one thing you want to do when you're hardcore into a community is to figure out how you can exclude or make yourself feel superior to other people in that community. And the only way to do that is to make up stuff and then speak about it as if it were an absolute truth of the universe.
Right. Yeah, these are firmly held beliefs that nothing we say is going to convince anyone else. But maybe Dan is just like, do they have a point? Should he listen to anything that's going on here? So look, Dan.
No.
Like, here's what's crazy to me, right? So these audiophiles, they're like, okay, you got to get rid of the built-in jumper, connectors that went between the two sets of binding posts, which, that's how the manufacturer built them and tested them and everything like that. But that can't possibly be good enough. But
the people who are good enough to design the speakers are not good enough to include good jumpers with them or reasonable jumpers with them.
But Dan, I mean, some of the audiophiles are for sure doing what I'm about to say. Absolutely. But there's a whole bunch of audiophiles who are like, yeah, of course I get rid of the metal jumpers that came with them. Those go out in the trash. But some of those audiophiles didn't open up the speakers and replace all of the internal wiring. And my God, the drops of performance that they're missing out on by not replacing.
Why don't they have silver wire within?
Inside the speaker.
Crossover, yeah.
8 gauge, man. 8 gauge or thicker.
Can you imagine?
For the internal wires. They haven't done that. The drops of performance that they're missing out on. All of this is ridiculous. So look, objectively speaking, what matters with a speaker wire connection, and look, yes, the jumper is in effect a teeny tiny little speaker wire. That's absolutely what it is. It's a little piece of conductive metal that is connecting two binding posts together. So yes, you can replace that with a piece of speaker wire, going to function just fine. But what matters with speaker wire is the resistance of the wire. That's what matters. Yeah. And the resistance of the wire grows as the length of the wire grows. But no matter what you're putting between those two sets of binding posts, it's a very short distance. You could put any electrically conductive metal for that amount of distance, and it would make no audible difference whatsoever.
Literally tested wire hangers. Literally been tested.
If you've run out of all other options, you could take some aluminum foil, probably more than a single layer just for physical purposes, but you could take some aluminum foil and connect the two binding posts together, and it would sound identical to the jumpers that came with it, to any type of speaker wire that you DIY'd and put on there, whether you terminate it with brass or any other type of metal binding posts, banana plugs, spade wires. All of it, those lengths are so short that it does not matter. The resistance that you have of any electrically conductive metal is going to be up to the task of the distance between a pair of binding posts that you're connecting together. So brass, totally fine. Aluminum, totally fine. Gold-plated, silver-plated, whatever it is, totally fine from a will this work point of view. Unnecessarily expensive, but totally fine. What else could you use? Magnesium would work if it didn't react with the air. It's like
your speakers are on fire, but they sounded good for a second.
Yep. So this is utterly ridiculous stuff. There is no reason to throw away the jumpers that came with these speakers. Guess what they do better than anything else? They physically fit flush better than anything else you're going to put on there. So from that point of view, that's what I would prefer to use is the jumpers. Also, what I would prefer is just having one set of binding posts on the back of my speakers. So that's really all I need. But there you go. That's I mean, honestly, I don't know what else I can say about it, because if you're in the camp of I have to throw them away because they're trash, nothing I just said is going to convince you otherwise. But what I will say is, yeah, man, if that's the camp you're in, if that's the road you want to go down to, and you don't want to listen to reason, and you don't want to listen to objectivity, and you don't want to listen to science, and you don't want to listen to any of it, you just want to know that the jumpers that came with it are trash, then, dude, if you have not replaced all of the internal wires, then what are you even doing here if you haven't replaced all of the internal wiring of your speakers?
Yeah. You got to replace all the wire between your house and the power station, too, because you want to make sure that you're getting clean power to those speakers.
Rewire your whole house. It's got to be braided wire inside of, electrical wire inside of your walls. What are you doing?
What do you do with Romex?
You're only throwing out the jumpers. Come on, get real. Be a real audiophile. Come on.
I mean, the jumpers are going between the binding posts, which are probably just brass anyways.
You think.
Rob X, not this Rob, but Rob X. Rob wrote to us previously to ask for a suggestion for a microphone that he could use for gaming that would allow him to listen to his full immersive audio home theater setup as opposed to headphones or a headset, but be able to use game chat without the microphone picking up any sound from his speakers. He had used Google Gemini to try to search for a solution. It did suggest the same toner cardioid mic with RGB lights, of course. That was also part of Rob H's suggestions, but Rob's H's also recommended the Rode Video Mic Go 2 shotgun mic plus the necessary adapter cable to be able to plug into any PlayStation or Xbox controller. I must not have been here for this because I don't know what you're talking about.
That was one of the weeks you were.
So he went ahead and ordered both to try them out, and the Rode is the winner. It really is highly directional. It was able to pick up his voice without picking up his surround or any other speakers with his full sound system playing at a moderate volume. He couldn't play his speakers quite as loud as he would really like to, but it was loud enough that he can live with it, and it was a lot better than any previous mics he had tried. Yeah. He also likes that it gives him the option to plug in the mic into his PC via USB and use Discord as well, so that's a very nice bonus.
Yeah.
Now, so he's happy with that, so good job, Rob.
Hooray.
H.
Shotgun mics are fantastic.
Yeah. So he found that when he plugged in the Rode mic into his Xbox controller, Dolby Atmos was no longer an available option when choosing the output format for the audio. His default has been to keep the sound output as either Atmos for home theater speakers or Atmos for headphones, but as soon as he plugs the Rode mic into this Xbox controller, it automatically tries to switch to the headphone audio output, and even if he leaves that as Dolby Atmos for headphones ahead of time, he gets an error message. If he does some toggling of the audio options at that point, it will set itself to output multi PCM. But that only seems to result in coming from the front left and right speakers. Even worse than that, there's a distracting amount of latency. The best solution he could find was setting the Xbox to output either stereo or 7.1 uncompressed audio ahead of time to his speakers. One of the main games he likes to play is Battlefield 6, and that has an option in the game itself to set it to output 7.1 audio. If he really wants to utilize his overhead speakers, he can apply either Dolby Surround upmixer or DTS Neural X upmixer from there. But not all games have the audio options in the game itself, so sometimes setting the Xbox itself to output 7.1 uncompressed results in silence from some of his surround speakers, and applying Dolby Surround or Neural X at that point does not put any sound into those silent speakers. So is there anything he can do? Because he'd love to continue using Dolby Atmos, and going all the way down to stereo output feels like a real downgrade. One final thing to note, the adapter cable that Rob H suggested is coiled, and those coils are too tight for it to be a good option for gaming. With the Rode mic plugged into a controller, it tugs the mic out of position far too easily, but thankfully it's nothing more than a 3.5 TRS to 3.5 TRRS cable. So any such cable will do, and he was able to use a straight conversion cable from a different brand with no problem. So there you go. There's a whole bunch of pictures. So there you go. How long is it going to take you to answer this question? Because I would like to get another cup of coffee.
Oh, you go ahead, because I'll move on if we need to. And we don't have time to delay at all. So I don't have fantastic news for you because, yeah, as soon as you plug, any device into the controller that it detects as being a headset, then it's like, oh, I'm using headset audio. And there, unfortunately, isn't too much of a way around that. The Xbox specifically, it doesn't support just regular USB connections to an external microphone. Be great if it could, but that's one of the reasons I recommended this method of connection, is because unfortunately they don't. The PlayStation can. You can plug a USB microphone into a PlayStation and it works similarly to a PC. You choose what your input device is, you choose what your output device is separately, but for whatever reason the Xbox just will not work that way. They have their own proprietary way of dealing with the audio side of things. So yeah, once you plug in the chat microphone, it's going to assume that you want headset audio. As you've discovered, you can change that so that it is still outputting from the speakers, but because it's doing all the mixing of the sound and the muxing of the sound inside of the Xbox, it demands that all audio has to be decoded inside of the Xbox, which means everything is turned into regular uncompressed PCM audio, and then it can mux various things together, including the actual game sounds from whatever you're playing, plus menu sounds that might be coming from the dashboard, plus your chat audio, plus the audio you're hearing from other players that are talking over the game chat. So all of that is being handled as decoded, uncompressed PCM inside of the Xbox, all being muxed together and then being output, in this case, as just 2.0 or 5.1 or 7.1 uncompressed PCM, because it is still using that chat. So it's not like re-encoding everything as Atmos, but you've told it you're not using headphones, so it can't re-encode it as Dolby Atmos for headphones. And yeah, it just doesn't have the ability to re-encode it as Dolby Atmos for the home theater speaker output. It just doesn't exist. So in my own personal setup, I've resorted to just using stereo. I just have the Xbox itself output stereo, and then I rely on upmixing, which for my gaming purposes does a good enough job. But I do realize that for games that are specifically encoded to use immersive audio, it is not as discrete, it is not as perfectly directional. So yeah, the best you're going to do here is exactly what you've come across. If you can set the game itself to output already encoded by the game itself, discrete 5.1 or discrete 7.1, you have that sent to the Xbox's system, which will retain it as discrete. You can upmix that using your upmixer if you really want sounds from your overhead speakers, but that is already as good as it can possibly be, is the solution that you found. And for games that the game itself doesn't have those audio options, you're going to have to resort to outputting it as stereo and relying on the upmixer of your AV receiver to handle that and turn it into more than just your front, left, and right speakers. All right, Tom is not back yet, so I'm moving on to Nathan. Nathan wrote in a few weeks ago to ask for a wireless gaming headset recommendation. He specifically wanted a set where you can mute the microphone on the headset itself, either by just pressing a button on the headphones or by simply flipping up the boom mic that might be attached. And he also wanted sound quality that's as close to on par to his Sony WH-1000 headphones as he could possibly get. He's really only worried about connecting them to his Mac computer, although he does also have an Xbox, but it gets played very, very little, he said. He didn't note it at the time, but he does wear glasses, just like I do, and he said his ears are on the larger side, which mine are also, and being able to wear the headphones for a long period of time without them becoming uncomfortable is a top priority. So I suggested to him the Astro Gaming A50 Generation 5 headset. That goes for $300 retail. They're on sale right now as we're recording this, $40 off, so $260 is the price you can find them for right now. But he was searching on his own, and he's like, what about the Odyssey Maxwell 2? They seem to get very high scores specifically for their sound quality as headphones. They're selling for $330, so within the same ballpark, a little bit more expensive, but not drastically so. So any reason that I, Rob, did not suggest the Odyssey Maxwell 2 instead of the Astro A50 Gen 5. And then he's also like, what about going a little bit less expensive? One of Logitech's other wireless headsets. Logitech is the owner of the Astro Gaming sub-brand now. They purchased them a couple of years ago. So Logitech has other wireless headset. He was thinking about it, and he's like, if he wants to listen to music, he could just switch back over to his Sony headphones. And he also is like, well, there is the option when he's on game chat, since he's doing it through his Mac computer, he can actually like forward that to his iPhone, and then he could mute on the iPhone and have the headphones connected to the iPhone instead of connected directly to the Mac computer. You know, with being in the whole Apple ecosystem, there's a way he could do all of that. So yeah, that was another one that you were away for, Tom, now that Tom is back.
I was going to say.
But he asked me specifically why I didn't. So one of the things was
I would have.
I didn't know all. Yes, Tom would have suggested the Maxwell. You probably would have said the Maxwell, and they are up to the Maxwell 2 now, so you might not have gotten quite that specific. So one of the reasons that I'll just say right away, I wasn't totally sure on the Maxwell 2 if they have a way to mute the microphone on the headset itself, but
there's a flip button on it.
There's like a push slidey type of button that mutes or unmutes. So that it does have that feature. So that would be good. Yeah, I'm a fan of the Maxwells as well as you are. I found the Maxwell first generation because I have a physically big head and physically big ears that it slightly touched the pinna of my ear on the first generation. And so since, you know, if I'm wearing for a long time, I don't like anything touching that pin of my ear. The Astro A50s have a bigger ear cup, and I personally found them more comfortable. Also, the foam, you know, part of the head foam that sits on your actual head itself. The A50 is a very compliant, foamy type of thing that works very well on my large glasses for my large head. Whereas I found the first generation of the Maxwell, the clamping force and the little bit stiffer and the sort of plasticky leather, you know, synthetic type of ear cup thing just didn't create as good a seal with my eyeglasses in place. So it was a little bit of a comfort thing that I favor the Astros. But the Maxwell 2, supposedly the ear cups are a little bit larger. So I haven't tried the Maxwell 2. Maybe they've solved all of those issues, and the sound quality, if it's the same or better than the first generation Maxwell, I would put it right up there. But one of the other reasons I didn't suggest it is I didn't know all of the like connected devices. And one of the things I really like about the Astro A50 Generation 5 is that it is one of the very few wireless headsets that is compatible with all of the consoles. With the Maxwell 2, you have to choose whether it's compatible with the PlayStation or the Xbox. It is not compatible with both of them, whereas the Astro A50 is. So I was like, well, if I'm giving a general recommendation that is going to work no matter what you're connecting to it, then the Astro A50 is a little bit less expensive. I found them personally very, very comfortable, and they'll work with anything. So now we've got some more details. I mean, dude, I got no problem if you want to try out the Maxwell 2s, because apparently, yeah, you'd get the Xbox version since that's the only other console you have, and you don't worry about it being compatible with PlayStation as well.
That's right.
Oh, the other part of the thing is, everything you described about going less expensive and maybe using iPhone, like, the whole point was convenience, man. That just sounds like a whole bunch of fiddliness that I would want to deal with. So.
Welcome to latency, by the way. Yeah, just going through a bunch of other stuff. So, yeah, I don't want to do that. Yeah. Nick recently had a Tesla PowerWall and some solar panels installed. Unfortunately, it has created an audible problem in his home theater. His pair of rhythmic FV 15 HP subwoofers are now producing what sounds like a 60 hertz ground loop hum whenever they are plugged into the wall. They are on separate wall outlets, but the two outlets are connected to the same circuit of his electric panel. He's had the PowerWall installers back out to his house multiple times now, including a supervisor. They tried connecting a ground loop isolation transformer and some RCA and wall outlet ground loop isolators, but none of those fixed the hum. Yeah, that's pretty typical. Let me be honest with you. Those ground loop isolators are pretty miss or miss. But it was a good try. Just to be sure, they tried simply turning off the PowerWall, and sure enough, the hum instantly went away. And then came back on as soon as the PowerWall was turned back on. So pretty much identified the problem there. Is there anything he can connect to his subwoofer's power cables and or the RCA cables that might mitigate this annoying humming noise? On Rob's suggestion via email, he tried plugging just one of his subwoofers in at a time, and he tried plugging just one subwoofer into his APC H15 power conditioner so that
it should be to see. Sorry.
To see if its filtration might reduce the humming noise. Nothing made a difference. The subwoofer hums the same whether it's just one sub or both plugged in, whether they're plugged straight into the wall outlet, plugged into a power strip, or plugged in the ground loop isolator, or plugged into the APC H15, which you should not do.
No, but just to test, because I was just like, that's the filter he had on hand, and this is just like sitting there idle. So I was like, okay, for a short test to sitting there idle, like, can you filter this noise out of the electrical line is all I was trying to see. Yeah.
So the subs always hum unless the Tesla PowerWall is turned off. So could a pure sine wave UPS potentially do it, or is Rob's other suggestion via email that being an online UPS that only ever powers the device plugged into it from its own battery, the only solution here, because a good one of those looks like it would cost nearly as much as what he paid for one of his rhythmic subwoofers. So what Rob's suggestion was like power it off a battery, basically. Yeah. Just, power it completely off of battery constantly. Yeah,
you've talked about the IO gear UPS that you have. That one, I believe, is you can switch it, right? You can choose whether it's inline or online. So an inline UPS means that when the power coming from your wall is working fine, that it's passing it through, that you are powering it from the wall with some filtration and whatever, and voltage regulation being done, but you are drawing the power from the wall to your device when the power from your wall is working. And with an inline UPS, when the power at your wall cuts out due to a blackout or whatever, then it powers it off the battery. There's a very, very short amount of time where it's transitioning over from the wall to the battery, but it switches over to the battery nearly instantaneously and continues powering your devices. An online UPS is powering whatever you've plugged into it, in this case a subwoofer, 100% of the time from the battery, and the only reason it's plugged into the wall is to continually recharge the battery. Right. So you're never getting the power from the wall outlet through the device into your subwoofer. It would only ever be powering it from the battery, and that should eliminate any type of noise that's on the line, because you're only ever getting the power from the online UPS's own battery. But yes,
those
they're not cheap.
Expensive. Yeah. I think the IO gear is like $700.
At least, yeah, it's more now. It's probably up to $800 or $900, and that's one of the less expensive ones. Like, I'm like, if you want to nail this, like, go talk to Surgex. Surgex will sort this out for you in terms of what you could add to your system, but that's going to be well over $1,000. It's like, over $1,000. That's getting up to what I paid for one of these subwoofers. But I mean, if obviously you're not willing to uninstall the PowerWall that you've just paid a whole bunch of money to have installed, nobody can fix this for you. And like, I don't think this is a ground loop. It doesn't.
I don't think it is either. Yeah. I think that somehow it's putting power back into your system. Which
I think it's the DC to AC converter, right? Because it's DC power coming from the solar panels, it's DC power coming from the PowerWall itself. But to put it onto your house's electrical line, there's a DC to AC converter, and I think that's what's creating the noise. So. I don't know if there are alternatives. I mean, it's going to cost a whole bunch of money to replace the DC to AC converter. I don't know if you'd have to go third party to get something that's different, but my suspicion is that's where the noise is coming from. But I don't know enough about this setup to know how to troubleshoot that.
So you've had the installers back out multiple times in all of that. Before I bought anything, to be honest with you, I would have a licensed electrician take a look at this whole thing and see what they say, because there may be something else going on that neither of us would have any idea of, because we, again,
it's just kind of weird,
can't stress this enough, aren't electricians.
It's just kind of weird to have one device and only one device plugged into a wall outlet and get a ground loop hum. Like, there has to be something else it's connected to that's on a different outlet. So it's like he just plugged it into the wall. He didn't even have RCA plugged into it, and there's nothing else on that outlet, and the subwoofer starts humming. I'm like, I don't think that's a ground loop. I think that is a noise that is being pumped into your house's electricity by the Tesla PowerWall, or some part of that Tesla PowerWall system, because like I said, you turn the PowerWall off and the hum goes away. So it's like, if it were a ground loop between two different outlets, then that would still be there. Yeah.
So I would have an electrician out to take a look at it and see what they say, see if they have any solution for this. And if they don't, well, then maybe it really is. I mean, if it were me, I'd turn off the PowerWall whenever I was using my subwoofers.
I don't know what the process for that is, though.
I don't either. I mean, it doesn't. I'm sure it's not a switch. I'm sure it's not. You just press a button on the
Also, he's going to want to have the PowerWall on the majority of the time. So that means if he doesn't want to have a hum going on in his house the entire time, he has to, unplug anything that produces sound whenever he has the PowerWall on. So I would rather find a more permanent solution to this. Yes.
Chris, first up, he previously asked us about wall mounting a TV after having discovered that his walls are layer of drywall on top of old original lath and plaster. He was having a heck of a time finding any studs with the regular stud finder. Rob suggested using magnets to try and find the nails holding the drywall and or lathe boards to the studs. He started off with some neodymium fridge magnets, and those didn't stick to anything on the wall. But on Rob's suggestion via email, he bought a magnetic stud finder, and it worked. So we can see a picture here of something sticking to the wall.
It is a magnetic sun fighter. It if you stick something to that magnet, it can hold, I think it was 35 pounds of weight. So it is considerably stronger than a fridge magnet. And that's why this thing works. But it is hanging there on the wall all by itself. So it found something metallic inside there. I'll bet you there's a stud. In fact, you can't really see it on YouTube or whatever, but you can kind of see a slight little line.
I know. I can see you can see the line. I can see it.
I'm thinking that's the seam of the drywall right there. Also another clue that there's very likely a stud right in that location. So I think you found a stud. Hooray.
So he's wall mounting a 65-inch LG OLED. So a single stud is all that's actually necessary. So this should do the trick now. So thanks for the help, he says.
Yep.
Now into some other questions. He's trying to help out his brother and his wife. His brother and his brother's wife? Or his brother and his own wife?
No,
anyways,
the brother and his brother's wife. That's right.
Okay.
Brother
so they
and
went to install
sister-in-law.
a simple 2.1 sound system in their living room, but his brother's wife is really does not want any of it to be visible. Okay. So
it's a common thing. Yes.
Don't do it. So Chris had suggested a sound bar, but since they were doing some renovation anyway, and since Chris's brother is a licensed electrician, hey, let's ask him about what this sound.
Can we put you in touch with our previous listener there? Yeah.
They would really prefer to install in walls, and they're trying to keep the budget around $1,000. His brother can wire it all up, no problem, but Chris is, quote unquote, the audio guy in the family, so they came to him for suggestions, and now he is double checking with us. Given the budget, Chris was thinking the speakers themselves could be RSL, W25E Outdoor Speaker Depot T81s, or monoprice amber in walls. What would we say? Would we say any one of those particular stands out as being the best choice?
I would.
I'm sure you would. I don't know that I've heard of the RSLs or these T81s. Have we talked about the T81s?
Not the T81 specifically, in my memory.
But we've talked about outdoor speaker depot for sure. Like in ceilings, I thought.
Oh, yes, definitely. But I'm going to say go with the RSLs. The RSLs are very, very good sounding, easy to drive, can play louder than you might expect. I mean, they're not going to fill up an enormous room, but they can play louder than you might expect. I like those RSLs a lot. They're a very attractive price. You can just order them and they'll show up at your door. And yeah, I'd say they stand out as the pick I would go with. Ever since HSU stopped selling their fantastic in-wall speakers, with that I'm very sad about are gone, RSL has been my go-to in their stead.
So do those in-wall speakers need to have backer boxes? They are not going in the ceiling.
They are actually going in the wall. Yeah.
Yeah. So the answer to that question almost always is yes. For me, you're better off having a backer box if you can build one or
if you
put
can.
one.
Yeah.
That being said, if you definitively cannot, or you don't want to pay the extra money for a prefab one or whatever, putting them just in the wall is, fine.
Yeah, I mean, with in-wall, the stud bays are a little bit more separated, but still, the sound is going to leak up, into the ceiling, and then it can get... So, I mean, it's all a matter of how much do you care about sound leaking into other rooms. I'm not super worried about having backer boxes for in-wall speakers on this is what I'm hearing inside of my theater or my living room situation. I'm much more worried about the sound leaking to other rooms. That's the problem that backer boxes can solve. So, I'm a fan of having backer boxes 100% of the time. For any in-wall or in-ceiling speakers, I want backer boxes myself. But with an in-wall situation, like if they're renovating and that whole front wall is coming down, like you can just build some. They don't have to be complicated whatsoever. You're literally putting in a block at the top, a block at the bottom, and then maybe an additional layer on the back side, the other side of the drywall, that's farthest away from the side that you're working on. It doesn't have to be a whole lot more complicated than that. You make sure that at least that section that you've just blocked off is filled with insulation. And the little trick here is because it's so narrow, it's only 3.5 inches depth inside of that stud, it has to be about 4 feet tall. And you might be like, that seems awfully tall, but it's like, that's not that much cubic volume of air when it's only 3.5 inches deep. So it's literally half the height of your wall. But yeah, if the whole drywall is down anyway, I would build them because it doesn't have to add much. Now, if the drywall is already up and you got to do this as a retrofit, I do like pointing to Dynabox's end-wall system. I've talked about the Dynamat rather is the brand. I've talked about the Dynaboxes as being a favorite of mine for in-ceiling, and they have a different system for retrofitting. They call it N-wall, EN-wall. But that's their system for in-wall speakers. same idea. So if you have to retrofit it, you can do it. They're $75 each, which is not super cheap, but it's still not completely breaking budget when you're only talking about 2 of them. So yeah, that's a way you can do it either way. But I would have backer boxes, yes.
Can the grills for the speakers be painted to perfectly blend into the wall? I am going to take you to their website where it says it's talking about seamless and edgeless integration and about the grills, and it says the scrim cloth something allows for easy removal and replacement, which is necessary when looking to custom paint your grills to seamlessly match any home decor.
That's right.
So the answer is yes.
That's right. Will they be literally invisible? Not quite, because there's a tiny bit of depth being added by those speaker grills, but yeah, you can absolutely paint them.
He was going to suggest a Weem amp to power the system. Any reason to go with something else? I mean,
if you want to pay less, not that there's honestly a ton of great options to pay any less. I'm a big fan of going with the Weem amp. I think that's the right solution. I think you're bang on the money with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So his brother would like a subwoofer, but his brother's wife not so much. Chris is a bit hesitant to suggest an inexpensive in-wall subwoofer to him.
Right.
Be hesitant to find an inexpensive in-wall subwoofer. They generally don't exist.
He knows about the SVS, but with $1,000 budget total, you're not getting the SVS in-wall sub and adding it to the rest of the system. Yeah.
He already said that an RSL Speedwoofer 10E in white finish and hidden near the couch would be a better option. So do we agree, or do we think he should just an outdoor speaker depot or mono price in-wall sub and separate amplifier for his brother? You're not gonna get to $1,000. I mean, I don't know what these in-wall subs cost, but yeah, you're gonna have a hard time getting under $1,000 for all of this.
Indeed,
if you're going in-wall. Yeah. I have such a hard time with having a seriously undersized, underpowered subwoofer for a large space. I
mean, the 10E is not bad. It's the equivalent of the 10S Mark I, right?
Yes.
So it's not quite as deep or output is pretty similar to the 10S Mark II. It's just it can't play quite as deep. The 10E is a remarkably good deal for a low cost subwoofer.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would just be nice to be able to try to to roll off the low end, the super low end, so you're not the sub itself isn't trying to play something it's never going to be able to do in the room.
You can do that with the Weem amp. The Weem amp has a whole EQ that you can do with it. Yeah.
So if you're willing to go through all of that, then that's kind of where I stand on this, because what you're really trying to do is just go from maybe 100 or 120 hertz, because those speakers are trying to, fill up a large space, and having them play a bunch of bass is not going to help their situation very much.
No, right around 110 for the crossover to the RSLs is pretty much ideal.
Yeah. And then, only having the subwoofer play down to maybe 40 or 35 or
35
something like
easily,
that. Yeah. So that you're getting that bass, but not having it try to tax itself, getting all the way down to 20 seems optimal to me. So yeah, I think the RSL is a good solution for that.
Oh yeah. I'd point you there for sure. That's one of the ones I'm like, if you can hide the budget side of things. So hopefully in a married couple, you still have you have a joint account and separate accounts. That's usually the best way to do things. You just hide that spending. So
that is a silly thing to say.
Well, no,
I don't know why you would say that. That's the best
what I would
way.
do for sure.
Well,
you have a joint account
a lot
for
of people
joint
who
expenses.
don't have kids have a lot of ideas of how they should raise kids, and they should keep their mouth shut about it. So yes.
So anyway, I mean, I'd go for the Speedwoofer 10E. I think that's a great suggestion. And if white allows you to hide it and you can put it close to this couch and you don't even notice it, I would certainly go with that suggestion.
So are the Keystone wall plates that you can buy from Amazon adequate? For a clean look, you suggested the Cable Matters HDMI 2.1 wall plates and some basic Keystone wall plates for the couple. For the couple of pairs of speaker wires and subwoofer cable. Any reason his brother would need something fancier and more expensive? No. The only thing that you would worry about was the HDMI connection. But
the Cable Matters one is okay. They're a reputable
brand.
Wire
and subwoofers, it's nothing.
Yeah, any of the generic Keystone plates will be perfectly fine for that. So, yep, I think you're well on your way. I think you got a good group of products to recommend there.
Infinite Gary. Gary enjoyed hearing about Mark's DIY Panasonic UB9000 IR remote sensor repair last week. It reminded him of the time he opened up his own JVC SVHS player to try and clear a tape jam. He did it with the player still plugged in, and that resulted in something spinning with a lot of force into his finger, and he wound up needing a stitch. Anyways, are there any pieces of gear that we've attempted to repair ourselves? Any good stories, stitches involved or not? Most of the stuff I've had to repair, quote unquote, has been cleaning. It's just simple cleaning, open things up, cleaning things out. My wife's computer, the little Intel Nook.
Yep.
Every couple of years, I have to open the thing up and clean out the cooling fan and the cooling vent, the fins or whatever. I'm going to have my son come over because he built his own computer and he still has some of the paste, thermal paste. I'm going to have him, basically reapply and make sure that everything is up to snuff there. But yeah, I haven't had to repair a whole lot of things that I can think of myself.
Yeah.
What about you, Rob?
Gosh, I was trying to think of repairs. I mean, I built a few HTPCs from scratch. Really not doing HTPCs anymore, but back in the day when they were all the rage, built a couple of those from scratch, and of course had to, either do a repair inside of those or whatever. But all of those were successful. So yeah, no stitches involved, thankfully. Although some of those computer cases can be very dangerous. There can be some very sharp edges inside of some computer cases. But thankfully, I haven't had a problem like that. Let's see. So I mean, I've replaced the amplifiers in my subwoofers, but I wouldn't call that a repair. I mean, that was a replacement. I've switched out some of the drivers in my Ascend speakers because I got the original NRT designs, and then when the Sierra 2 came out, I upgraded them, so I kept the cabinets, but I replaced all the drivers. But again, I wouldn't necessarily call that a repair. The only thing I really wanted to repair was, remember those Epic subwoofers that caused such a kerfuffle? So with these, stupid amplifier that was completely broken, one of those, I mean, I would have liked to repair it, but that was completely unsuccessful. I never, there wasn't much for me. The Class D amplifier, what am I actually going to repair in there? So yeah. I think that's about it. I mean, I've certainly done a whole bunch of clearing tape jams back when VHS players. So never required giving myself a stitch. I always had my VHSs unplugged from the wall. That's step number one.
Yeah, I've taken apart a lot of electronics and speakers for reviews and that sort of thing, just to get an idea of what's inside them. But the only, I guess, repair, I mean, I've replaced tweeters and stuff like that, but nothing.
Yeah, it's a drop-in replace. I think my most successful repair that I did was my toaster. That was a genuine repair. Involved some soldering even.
A ton of bikes.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
want to talk about fixing stuff?
Yeah,
I can talk about a ton of bikes. I did one yesterday where I spent a lot of time with a grinder, a chisel, a hammer, and a number of different pipe wrenches trying to get the bottom bracket out, and was successful, but it took hours. And when that person says, "Why does this cost so much?" I'm going to say, because your bike is old and you should have not done this, like we told you. Julian has a JVC NX5 projector is connected to his Marantz SR8015 receiver, and his two main sources for movies are his Apple TV 4K and his Zidu player. He has enabled match frame rate on both of his source devices, but he says he is still seeing Judder. He has resorted to turning the frame rate interpolation on his JVC projector, and at a low setting, it seems to have mostly gotten rid of the Judder without too much soap opera effect, but is there a better solution? Could we maybe go through a general guide to troubleshoot Judder issues?
So, I mean, first and foremost, it should be entirely possible to, certainly in the case of an Apple TV 4K, have that connected to a JVC NX5 projector and be truly Judder free, right? The Apple TV 4K is outputting 24 frames per second when that is the original frame rate of the source video, and then the JVC NX5 can show that in not 60 hertz, right? I don't think the NX5 went up to 120 hertz, but that was one of the ones that could go to the 72 or the 96, like the even multiple of 24, and show it to you genuinely Judder free. So that should be possible. So that makes me question. So first of all, is that happening? For sure. Because if you have the, what do they call it? Creative, frame creation or something like that. There's a name that JVC has for it, but that's their frame interpolation thing. If you have that on but set to 0, that's not the same as off. So I would make sure I have that actually off, because when it is fully off, then it should just be showing multiples of the same frame without it trying to do anything other than that. But that's a simple enough setting that I'm pretty sure Julian would have done that, but I just want to say it for the sake of completeness. If you have that fully off and you're still seeing what looks like kind of herky-jerky motion to you, I'm like, is that actually judder or is it film stutter that you're seeing? Because if you're like, it's just a little bit da-da-da-da-da, but it's not the actual slow pan camera movement, and it's like judder is very, it's like herky-jerky, right? When it's going across like a slow pan, sideways pan on the camera, it's just like bop, 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 bop. If it's not like that, if it's like it looks like the camera is turning at a constant rate, but you're just seeing little stutters in it, that is filmic stutter, and that is not the fault of the frame rates not matching. That is a case of, because of the way like original film was exposed at that frame rate, it's impossible to not have a little tiny bit of strobing, when that film was actually moving through the camera. You shouldn't really be seeing that on stuff that was shot digitally. But yeah, if you're actually watching true film, then there could still be that. I'm not exactly certain 100% what you're seeing. So having that little bit of frame interpolation, like literally setting 1, is not the end of the world. Like that's what it's there to do, is get rid of that last little bit of filmic stutter. You're not doing something wrong by doing that. The other thing you could try is the JVC NX5 is capable of taking a 60 frames per second signal, detecting that the format inside of it was originally 24 frames per second, and doing the inverse telecine and the reverse 3-2 pull down to show it to you judder free. So I would go ahead and try setting the Apple TV 4K to just always output 60 frames per second, setting the Zidu to just always output 60 frames per second, and see how that looks. Because if it looks the same, which it should, but you're like, it looks the same, but I'm still seeing a little bit of stutter. If that's what you're seeing, then that is just filmic stutter, because that's unavoidable. If you're like, no, it looks distinctly different, like one is jerk, 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 and the other one is like stutter, stutter, stutter. Neither of them's perfectly smooth, but they don't look the same, then it is judder that you're still seeing, but I suspect it isn't.
Yeah. Okay. We have time for one more.
Yep.
Brandon. First up, Brandon says he has installed many Ecobee thermostats. When he heard me mention how he had to fix the wiring after his didn't work correctly the first time, it reminded him of when he first installed one of the newer models of Ecobee. He just went ahead and wired it up the same way he had done with all prior Ecobees, but no dice with the new model. He had to, read the instructions. And sure enough, there was a new wiring pattern versus the old, on the old versus the new. He isn't sure that it's the same thing that tripped me up, but I'm not alone. First of all, I am offended that you would say that I had not read the instructions. And also, I did not read the instructions. Okay. So I will go back and do that. How dare you, sir? I feel he's just saying, like, very triggered right now.
Maybe you really did move the wires to exactly like 1-for-1, but it turns out the Ecobee itself on the newer model, those wires go to different connectors than they used to.
If that is the case, I am going to be... My wife is very irritated with our thermostat. She does not like this old thermostat we can't figure out. It's like, it's too basic and it's hard to like program. So she wants the Ecobee back. And she just said something to me the other day. I was like, yeah, I just saw an email from one of our listeners that said that he had a suggestion. And I did not tell her that the suggestion was, your husband's an idiot, even though she does know that. So I will report back hopefully in 2 weeks that I have a functional Ecobee. Now, he has a real quick question. Any reason to wait for the newest LG C6 OLEDs, or would he be fine by going ahead and pouncing on the clearance prices for the C5s, the 65-inch C5s, or is it C6 is that C6 significantly better?
Right, we're talking about the 65-inch size, so the whole C6H with the tandem OLED panels not entering into the equation because the tandem OLED C6H is exclusively 77-inch and 83-inch. So he mentioned it's the 65-inch in particular. Dude, go ahead and grab a C5 on clearance. There is so little difference from the C5 to the C6 that, yeah, even if you had them side by side, I think you'd have a heck of a time telling the one from apart from the other. So yeah, grab it at that clearance price. Go get a C5.
So who do we have left?
We have left on the list Dan, Dale, scrolling down a bit, Alan, Scott, and Miguel. I think that's all I wrote up today. We did have one or two other questions that came in on Monday. I neglected to write those names down. But if you emailed me on Monday and you didn't hear a name and you're like, yep, I probably got them. There you go.
All right. I want to thank our listeners of the week. I want to thank James and our 121 patrons over at patreon.com/AVRant podcast. Thank you very much for your support.
That's right. Once again, that is patreon.com/AVRant podcast if you'd like to sign up to make an automatic monthly donation. So big thanks to our 121 patrons over there. James, thank you for being one of them.
Thank Greg for sending in the movie code for me to test, which I did not test yet. And for Scott for giving me permission to use his photos on AV Gadgets.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Scott.
Also got notes of gratitude from Greg, Nathan, Chris, Julian, Gurinder, Dan, Daniel, Dale, James, and Alan. Thank you for thanking us.
Yeah, those names one more time were Greg, Nathan, Chris, Julian, Gurinder, Dan, Daniel, Dale, James, and Alan. Thanks so much for those notes of gratitude and encouragement. Really appreciate them. And a big thank you to everybody who continues to listen and send in your questions.
If you want your question answered, all you have to do is ask. Yes, by emailing us at question@avrant.com. For AVRant, I'm Tom Andrew.
And I'm Rob H. Now go out and listen to something.
This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.